which would lift and slide shelves. This would cause empty bottles to be tipped into the sewers, meaning the Club 21 owners were never caught despite being raided constantly.
5.
Grand Central Terminal is the largest train station in the world in terms of platforms. There is also a secret platform, Track 61, which is only accessible by a secret entrance and a small passageway to an elevator into the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. This was used as President Roosevelt's own private entrance to the hotel. Today, the entrance to this long-forgotten passage is welded shut, but it still has dozens of platforms of trains still in it.
4.
Colditz Castle was a prisoner of war prison during World War II for British and French soldiers, and in the attic of this castle is one of the greatest escape stories you'll ever hear. A group of 3 soldiers were holed up here and hatched the plan by creating a fake wall, which was put up and therefore created a hidden chamber. In this chamber, the 3 men built a makeshift glider that they planned to fly off the roof to escape. They managed to build the thing, named the Colditz Cock, without ever being suspected, and planned to fly it out of there in early 1945. Before they got the chance, the Allied forces liberated Colditz, and they were freed.
3.
The most heartwarming of stories comes from Coffin House in America. Although Coffin House doesn't sound the most enjoyable of places to be, it was home to Levi Coffin, who was a known supporter of slavery abolition in America at the time. His home contained many little crawl spaces and secret rooms. Over the course of the Civil War, he used them to house and hide over 2,000 escaped slaves who were following the path of the Underground Railroad to safety before the abolition of slavery. Some of the slaves would hole up in the house for weeks before continuing on their journeys. Eventually, Levi Coffin became known as the president of the Underground Railroad.
2.
The secrets behind the walls of Haute de la Garenne on the island of Jersey are truly harrowing to know of. The children who resided there were subject to acts of torture and punishment like no child should experience. After work began on the house, a network of 4 underground chambers were discovered, and in them were the grim findings of shackles, bone and teeth remains, as well as traces of blood in some bathtubs. The rooms were all underground, and it's believed these were the punishment centres for the unruliest of children. What makes it even worse is notorious sex attacker Edward Pasnell was a frequent visitor to the home, whose nickname was the Beast of Jersey. So it should be common sense not to let him near children, unless you just didn't care. The personal accounts of abuse and murder now make up a long list, since many victims have come forward now. The only positive effect to result from these horrors is that the island of Jersey has now taken legal steps to ensure that atrocities like these never occur again.
1.
About to be made into a movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, the story of H.H. Holmes is one that tells of a sadistic and grossly inhuman scumbag. At the end of the 19th century, Holmes would use money he made in insurance frauds or as a hitman to build a large house in Chicago. The house was used as a hostel, and he had it designed to allow him to move around the hostel in a series of hidden corridors and trapdoors. As a front, he also ran a drugstore nearby, which held him in high esteem within the community. The hostel was the site of grisly and gruesome murders over the years, and it soon became known as the Murder Castle. It was through the corridors he had built in that allowed him to enter people's rooms at night and murder them, and then to use a series of chutes to dispose of the bodies. The chutes led to a room where he would dissect his victims and a crematorium next door too. Sometimes he wouldn't kill them before sending them down below, only to be tortured and murdered at his whim. The final death count stood at around 50 people, mostly women. Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more elite facts.